Radhe Radhe. Today is Saturday, 4th March 2023. And in fact, we've, in this continuing Bhagavad Gita recitation journey, embarked on the next stage, the next chapter, launch of chapter 8 from today. So along with me for this recap video is Mummy.
Radhe Radhe. Warm welcome to our Bhagavad Gita recitation recap video. So today we started with chapter 8 and I briefly read the introduction, what it means, Akshar Brahma Yog, and here we go for the first round of first 5 verses. So whenever we start a new chapter, we start with a short prayer. I will go with that. Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha Atha Ashtamodhyayah Akshar Brahma Yogaha Arjuna Uvacha Kim Tad Brahma Kim Adhyatmam Kim Karma Purushottama Adhibhutam Cha Kim Proktam Adhidaivam Kim Uchyate Adhiyagnya Katham Kotra Dehesmin Madhusudana Prayana Kale Cha Katham Gneyosi Niyatat Abhihi Shri Bhagavanu Vacha Aksharam Brahma Paramam Swabhavodhyatmamuchyate Bhuta Bhavodbhava Karo Visarga Karma Sangnitaha Adhibhutam Ksharo Bhavaha Purushashchadhidaivatam Adhiyagnyo Hamevatra Dehe Deha Bhritam Vara Antakale cha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram yah prayati samadbhavam yati nastyatra sanshayah. So let's look at some important words. So first, let's see the word adhyatmam. Adhyatmam, right here in this verse, it means the individual soul. Then another very important word is Purushottam, that is Purushottam, that is Shri Krishna. And now Adhibhutam. Adhibhutam is the material manifestation, and Adhidaivam. Adhidaivam is the Lord of celestial gods. Next verse, the important word is Adhiyagnaha. Adhiyagnaha means the Lord of all sacrificial performances. Prayan Kale, that means at the time of death. And Niyat Atmabhihi, that means by those people who have steadfast mind. Verse 3, very important word is Aksharam. Akshara means, that means which is indestructible. And let's see, Bhut Bhava Udbhav Karaha, that means actions pertaining to the material personality of living beings and its development. Verse 4, the opposite of Akshara is Kshara. Kshara means that is perishable. And of course, Purusha, that is used for the cosmic personality of God. And verse 5, very important, is Smaran. Smaran means remembering. Remembering God at every minute of our life. And Madbhava means we have to slowly try to practice to make our nature God-like nature. With that, I give it over to Gagan to explain the verses.
Yeah, thank you, Mummy. So chapter 8, as we said, we started off the journey. So coming over to the cover slide, as Mummy went through the recitation and important words, chapter 8, verses 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Chapter 8, verse 1, catchphrase is A plus questions. These are questions from Arjun. The A here is for the Sanskrit terms. They all start with A. And in fact, chapter 8, verse 1 and verse 2, they go hand in hand. So chapter 8, verse 2, it is related, the catchphrase is related to the last question, divine departure. So first, Arjun asks Sri Krishna about certain terms or concepts that Sri Krishna had mentioned at the end of chapter 7. You're welcome to join us in our Bhagavad Gita study journey, where we are in the beginning stages, and we'll get to those verses in a few weeks. So anyway, at the end of chapter 7, Sri Krishna mentions some important concepts and terms, and he also brings about the topic about the time of death. So that is what Arjun asks about in these two verses, chapter 8, verse 1 and chapter 8, verse 2. Then chapter 8, verse 3, catchphrase here is blessed by Brahman. So Brahman is just one of many, many names for God. And as a concept, it is of course transcendental to the material realm. We have seen many, many different names and appellations for God. So again, Brahman here, we're introduced to that. And Sri Krishna and Swamiji, through the commentary, of course, they tell us this use of the word adhyatma. That is, at least with two different meanings, the science of spirituality, or as Swamiji says here, Sri Krishna is referring to it as us in terms of the self consisting of the soul, the body, the mind, and the intellect. And then, of course, there's also a mention of karma. We've seen that many, many times. Karma or karmas referring to fruitive activities. As always, that is what keeps us in this cycle of birth and death. Or at some stage, the hope is eventually, with the grace of God, one can attain God realization and get to God's transcendental abode. Chapter 8, verse 4, Sri Krishna, of course, giving answers to Arjun's questions. So indeed, the least compliments we can provide is that these are now A plus answers. So Sri Krishna responds regarding three important terms. Adhibhuta, the entire cosmic manifestation, the whole universe, and with it changing, it's ever changing, and given that it is connected to the 5 gross elements. So from lowest level of subtlety to highest level, we have earth. More subtle than that is water. Then you have fire, then air, and space. So that is Adhibhuta, referring to this cosmic and ever-changing, universe and manifestation. The next is Adhidaiva. Daiva, so related to Devatas. We've talked about this in Swamiji's introduction to the entire Bhagavad Gita. We have Sri Krishna as the Supreme Lord, but to ensure everything functions and works, just like a parliament, there are these celestial gods, the Devatas, who individually handle separate administrative functions, and they also keep rotating. So the Lord presiding over all these celestial gods, that is, of course, Sri Krishna, and here known as Adhidaiva. And then the third one is Adhiyagna. Yagna we have seen in chapter 3, referring to sacrifice. Everything we do ideally ought to be for the love, pleasure, and enjoyment of God. So now the Lord who presides over all these sacrifices, that is Adhiyagna. But another term for that, in fact, is Paramatma. Sri Krishna as Paramatma dwelling in our hearts, presiding, of course, over all those sacrifices. And finally, we have chapter 8, verse 5, R&R, remember and relinquish. So Sri Krishna says that ideally, if we can remember him at the time of death, which is when we are relinquishing the gross body, then there is no doubt we will be able to attain God and come to his place, his abode, Golok. Swamiji tells us in the commentary that we constantly need to have ourselves absorbed in the names, forms, virtues, pastimes, and abodes, and even the saints of God. We've seen this terminology in Hindi and Sanskrit also many times. Sri Maharajji's Arti as well, Nam, Roop, Leela, Guna, Dham, and Sant. Right? So constantly, if one practices that, then there is some chance, there's a semblance of hope that at the time of death, even with all the pain that Mummy was describing to us in the class, even with all that, maybe then there's a chance that one can continue to remember God at that time. And final comment is that in the shloka, one of the phrases uses madbhavam, godlike in nature or character. So if our consciousness is always aligned with God, tuned to God, then at the time of death as well, with God realization through God's grace, one can hope to attain that godlike nature, that godlike character. Finally, we shall look at chapter 8, verses 1 onwards one more time, listening to their rendition.
Arjuna uvacha kim tad brahma kim adhyatmam kim karma purushottama adhibhutam cha kim proktam adhidaivam kim uchyate adhiyajñah katham kotra dehesmin madhusudana prayana kale cha katham ज्ञेयोऽसि नियत आत्मभिः श्री भगवानुवाच अक्षरं ब्रह्म परमं स्वभावोऽध्यात्ममुच्यते भूतभावोद्भव करो विसर्ग कर्म संज्ञितः अधिभूतं क्षरो भावः पुरुषश्चाधिदैवतम् अधियज्ञोऽहमेवात्र देहे देहभृतां वर अन्तकाले च मामेव स्मरन् मुक्त्वा कलेवरम् यः प्रयाति समद्भावम् याति नास्त्यत्र संशयः.
Thank you, Mummy. So final comments, we hope to, of course, have you join us on our JKYog community portal page. So we mentioned this in class and showed it as well. Please, take a look and join the portal page if you are already not there. And that's where you'll get these slides, the recap videos, of course, the one that you're watching right now, week after week, and all prior material and reference documents as well. We also encourage you to participate as and when you can. Whenever you're able to open up your hearts, please do contribute to Swamiji's noble causes and the big project for education and healthcare in rural Orissa. And of course, also a reminder that we always send out links with these slides related to the specific verses covered. And of course, for the entire chapter, everything to help supplement your learning journey. So you attend class, hopefully get that full benefit of an hour. Then you have this recap video, and then you also have these other links that will help you enhance everything in a comprehensive way. So that's just a preview here, but it'll be in the slides that you'll get from that portal page for our series, this one here, which is Bhagavad Gita Recitation. Finally, look forward to seeing you as always. So next week, Saturday, 11th March, 2023, 8 a.m. Dallas time, 7:30 p.m. India time, Bhagavad Gita study. As I mentioned, we're covering chapter 7 there. And then same time for recitation, which is 11 a.m. Dallas time, 10:30 p.m. India time. That is this continuing series that you're watching the recap video for, Bhagavad Gita Recitation, chapter 8. So we look forward to seeing you in one or both classes on Saturday, 11th March, 2023. Till then, happy Holi in advance. Thank you so much. Radhe Radhe.
Yes, thank you very much for joining us. Radhe Radhe, happy Holi, and do join us for your satsang, for your sadhana tomorrow, either in person or online, for our Phoolon Ki Holi at Radha Krishna temple. Let's all together ignite those beautiful, loving devotional sentiments for Lord Krishna and pray to him all the time with attaching our mind with God. Thank you and Radhe Radhe.